Hello and welcome to Topify. Today we will be looking at the top 10 basic rules that keep the Mafia in order. The legendary Sicilian Mafia and the Italian-American Mafia that it inspired are well known to us all. If we compare them to gangsters in the XXTH century, they still exist despite maintaining a low profile. You would assume that they are a group of brutal criminals that have no regard for morality or any kind of standards, but you might be pleasantly surprised. Therefore, even though they break the law, the Mafia has its own stringent norms and codes of behavior, and all of its members are required to abide by them without exception. Additionally, the word Cosa Nostra means our thing, therefore these are the laws and guidelines that members of the most deadly criminal organization in the world are expected to abide by. You'll get the feeling that they are quite structured among themselves since it is necessary to maintain harmony and cooperation among the families. Cosa Nostra consists of Mafia families. So let's examine the top 10 Mafia guidelines. Number 10. Let's start with the Commission, as it was the foundation of the Mafia organization. Charles "Lucky" Luciano created the Commission in 1931 to put an end to the conflict between the families. The Board of Directors, or the leaders of the 5 New York families, the Chicago Outfit, and the Buffalo family made up this group. The Commission, which is in charge of all operations, has to authorize all Mafia-related ventures and acts. They were able to put an end to their hostilities and arrange the chaotic gangs in this way. However, the order was briefly disturbed when Lucky Luciano was repatriated to Italy. As a result, there were occasional conflicts, but the Commission continued to serve as the authority. Number 9. First off, each family within the organization has a region that is represented by group members who are typically not blood relatives. All of the families that make up the Cosa Nostra are ruled by the Capo di tutti capi, the boss of all bosses. To prevent family feuds, the Cosa Nostra maintains tight regulations about rank within the families. The Capo Famiglia, or Rappresentanti, then, is in charge of running the family. He is second in charge to Capo Bastone, also known as Sotto Capo, who is his underboss. As a result, the underboss manages its consigliere, who is in command of his soldati, operai, or picciati, or troops. They are enforcers, assassins, bodyguards, moneymakers, and everything else at the bottom of the organization, known as affiliated or foot soldiers. Number 8. Before being accepted into the family, a prospective member must complete a number of obligations. He must, first and foremost, be of Italian descent. Only those of Sicilian ancestry and their parents were initially accepted. Later, the requirement was altered to require Italian-born parents, thus any future members must have an Italian-born father. The candidate must first pass a number of exams, including those for intelligence, cruelty, nobility, obedience, courage, and many more. The final test is murder, as well. The only way out when he is admitted as a full member is to die. Number 7. Early in the year 1890, in Sicily, an initiation rite was developed as a means of protection for Mafia leaders. In order to light the image of the saint, the new member must cut his hand, drip some blood on it, and do so. He therefore swears his allegiance to the Mafia in front of the burning saint. The new member is accepted at the rite, which is attended by all of the major Mafia associates. This implies that he will look out for and protect his brothers. He will therefore prioritize the organization over his own family in order to get protection and care in return. Number 6. Introductions protect the company against bogus members. Mafia members are forbidden from introducing themselves to one another. Additionally, he needs to connect them with a third person who they both know. In this manner, a third party attests to the fact that the individuals in question are true members and not imposters, such as government agents. As a result, it is clear that the Cosa Nostra is very selective about who it allows to join its ranks and about the protection of its members. All of these stringent guidelines make sure that everything remains inside the family, as they like to refer to it. Number 5. Every Cosa Nostra member is required to abide by 10 rigorous guidelines. First, the ones that pertain to spouses in particular situations have been divided into 3 groups. Never gaze at friends' spouses is number 2 on the list. The world would be much more respectable if everyone outside of the Mafia followed this simple rule. The wounded victim or your buddy can, however, take legal action against you if you are a Cosa Nostra member. So it's a major no-no to meddle with another man's wife. The 7th tip, respect wives, might also be very well received by everyone. The advice given in rule number 5, always be accessible for the Cosa Nostra, even if your wife is giving birth, is a little bit harsh and paradoxical. Number 4. The relationship with the police is governed by the second set of guidelines. Never be seen with cops is thus rule number 3. This one fits in nicely with the omerta since no member of the Cosa Nostra wants to be mistaken like a snitch. If they have evidence that an officer is corrupt, they can, of course, be seen with him. 10 is considerably tighter than 3 since it accurately captures the mindset toward the cops. No Cosa Nostra may have relatives who work for the police, are double dealers, or have non-moral relatives. This one is challenging to understand because although you may select your friends, you cannot choose your family. We're not sure if this guideline was adhered to exactly. Number 3. The third set of guidelines, or, let's say, decent manners, comes last. Don't be nasty or unpleasant since this one almost sounds noble. A third party must always introduce a newbie to one of our friends. Fourth, don't go to bars and clubs, is one that I find it difficult to imagine they follow. The fourth rule, however, has a couple variations, one of which is that members must not fight, the other is that the boss or superior must be respected. The sixth rule also teaches the need of decency and respect. It makes sense to say that appointments must without a doubt be observed, since being late is disrespectful to the other parties and seen as a show of weakness. Since trust is so important, rule number 8 advises, when the supervisor asks for information, speak the truth. Money cannot be appropriated if it belongs to another member of La Cosa Nostra or to his family, according to rule number 9. This guideline seems obvious because disregarding others will undoubtedly cause chaos inside the company. Number 2. A long-running conflict between families is known as a vendetta and is motivated by retribution. Crime families occasionally find it difficult to resolve problems and must take revenge. However, if the vengeance is directed towards other families, it may soon escalate into a conflict, much like in Mafia-themed movies. However, some forms of reprisal are permitted by the Commission, and they are often carried out without inciting a fight. There is one more act of retribution directed towards the penitente, and the penalty is death. A former Mafia member, the penitente works with the public prosecutor to obtain a lighter sentence by giving evidence against his former family members. Despite the fact that the informant is placed under witness protection, the organization makes great efforts to find and murder him. Number 1. The ultimate rule among Cosa Nostra members is the Code of Silence or Code of Honor. The fabled omerta has established itself in a number of illicit enterprises. Everyone who abides by this code is forbidden from helping the authorities since snitches and rats are despised. The law is so rigorous that the person facing the accusations is unable to defend himself, leading to the conclusion that someone else committed the crime, such a bank heist. Therefore, he must accept his sentence and, if necessary, do the time. Additionally, the Silent Code has a long history dating back to the 16th century in Sicily. The Sicilian Mafia has upgraded them, nevertheless, by adding the death penalty for violators. In the Mafia, there is no skulking around doing as you want and abdicating responsibility for your activities. To sum up our top 10 list. Is there a more effective technique to organize the group of criminals than to have them follow the rigid rules? Have any of these regulations ever been mentioned to you? What do you think about them? We would want to hear your thoughts, so please write them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like the video to get more interesting top 10 lists in the future.